Hello there. As you can see, I thought it would be a good idea to come outside today. Sun's shining at the moment, which is fabulous. It's a bit bright actually. And there's the sound of traffic coming and going, and that's okay. I thought it would be really nice to have the bamboo plants in the background just moving around in the wind. Those of you who sort of like visual things, that you're attracted to how things look, that would be a really good way of you coming into the present moment, where you can just be the seeing of the plants moving in the wind. So what I'm saying there is that you don't get tangled up in them. I might get tangled up in them actually, but if you can just be there wherever you are now, just watching the movement of the bamboo and just hearing the sound of the wind, probably without having any comment to say, without that internal dialogue needing to comment about it, you can just come straight into the peacefulness that's just present in the here and now. We've spoken about that before, about allowing things to be as they are, or if it's a difficult thing, then accepting how things are means that we don't turn them into a problem. And if we don't turn our experience into a problem, then it doesn't make us feel bad. We can just be good about things. So it's coming into the space which just notices how things are, because this space of just plain noticing doesn't have any opinions about things, and it doesn't have any preferences about how things are right now. That doesn't mean that we can't change our circumstance or we can't take any action, but it means that if we're not triggered, if we don't react to how things are from some comment that we have about it, then we can meet the situation, or we can respond to the situation from this peaceful place. And we know that whenever we do manage to stay calm in a situation, that whatever we do or whatever we say from that way of being, it always goes better than if we're in a reactive place, if we allow someone to push our buttons, if we respond either from a fearful place or from a needy, knee-jerky place. Then we know that things can go badly for us when we react to something. So this session today is just another opportunity to practice coming to the space which is just noticing, a bit like a CCTV camera just notices whatever it is being pointed at. It doesn't have any preference. It's not looking in one direction and muttering to itself, I wish I was pointing over there. It doesn't have any preference over what appears in front of the camera. It doesn't have any opinions about it. It doesn't have any likes or dislikes. And so it just points, it just sees what it sees. So regardless of any comments that might have come up even as a result of that, like, well, we have opinions and we have preferences, let's just put those to one side for a moment, because they all arise in the mind, in the thinking mind, and we all know that thinking mind is what gets us into trouble. If we just put those to one side, and if we are just seeing, you're just seeing the screen, and you don't have to get caught up, you don't have to get tangled up in whatever it is that you're seeing. And when you enable yourself to do that, you allow yourself just to connect with the peacefulness of just allowing life to be as it is right now. You just allow yourself, maybe just pick a point that you look at, and it could be that you're just looking at the screen that you're watching this broadcast on, or it could be that you're taking in a wider picture. So there's the screen, but there's also an awareness, a visual awareness of whatever the surroundings around the screen are. But if you just pick a point to focus your gaze at, you'll see that even without moving your eyes from that point, that you can actually take in the visual surrounding. You can see what's around there without having to move your eyes to all the different places. You can have this kind of panoramic view, this widescreen view. So just try that with me. Just try focusing your gaze on a particular point, just focusing on one place, but noticing that you can see everything in your field of vision all at the same time. And when you get distracted by something, by which I mean when you have a comment about something or a thought about something, then just come back to knowing that you're looking at this point, whatever point you've chosen, and then come into the widescreen view. We don't have to say anything. We can just switch off the internal commentary for a while. Noticing how things are. This place of noticing, which is just here, just at rest, is just ever present. It doesn't get disturbed by anything which is experienced. It just allows everything just to come and go, just like a CCTV camera. While we're trying to do this, while we're trying to keep our attention in a single place, we'll notice that we get dragged away. Maybe we notice a particular something and there's an interest in it, and then our focus moves to that place. And when we do that, it's likely that there's been some comment about what we've noticed. And as soon as a comment arises about one thing that is being noticed, if we don't know that that comment has just happened, has just been experienced in our mind, then our attention is no longer on that single spot. Our attention has gone to whatever thought accompanied that experience. And as soon as that happens, it's likely that we won't notice the next thought come up either, and then the next one and the next one, etc. And we will be lost in thinking. And then when we're lost in thinking, we won't be connected to this peacefulness that's just here, that just is aware of everything which just arises. The sights, the sounds, the feel of the wind. Actually, the feel of the warmth of the sun, even today. When we're lost in thought, we're robbed. We're robbed of being available to these experiences, these just simple experiences which are available to us throughout every moment in our day. When we're no longer experiencing them via what our mind has to say about them. When we become available, or we become, if you like, we become the space, this bigger panoramic space, which is just noticing how things are. So that's easier to practice when we're in either an experience, a situation which is pleasurable or neutral. But how does that work when we're in a situation which we're finding difficult, which we would like to change in some way? So from my experience, the sort of difficulties that I've got myself into have largely been with people and in conversations with people, and they've usually been because perhaps I've just assumed that I know what somebody's saying, and then I've had a reaction to that, and then afterwards I found out actually that wasn't what they were saying. I've just reacted to some interpretation, my interpretation of what they were saying, and then when I've reacted to it, it's made me either angry or I haven't wanted to hear what they were saying, so I've been in resistance to what they've said. I wanted it to be a different way. And whenever I've encountered an experience with some resistance to how it is, then I've always suffered as a result of that. There's always been some knock-on effect. There's always been some reaction in me which hasn't been pleasant to some degree or other. And unpleasant experiences, we've all had them. They can be anxiety, they can be feeling like you don't want to be bothered doing anything. They can be feeling like, I wish I was somebody else. All manner of feelings can come up. The difference is when we're in a difficult, a tricky situation, maybe when we're with somebody that historically we found difficult, and that can often be people within our family, or in our workplace, or in our an environment that we visit often, where we have some degree of shared history with somebody. Then that can often be the place where we run into difficulty with somebody, because they have their way of seeing it and doing things, and we have our way of seeing things and doing things. We have our opinions, they have their opinions. So how do we navigate in such a circumstance, in a difficult position? I already know that when I've reacted in a way which there's been no space around that reaction, and then there's been raised voices or anger or frustration or irritation, that it hasn't gone well. That it hasn't gone well for me, and it hasn't gone well for the other person. That as soon as I've reacted, they've felt the tone of that, and they've immediately come into reaction to it. So now there's two people in reaction to each other's words, and we're no longer relating to each other as the beings that we are. There are these two unconscious reactions going on. Well, then I say that, and then you say that. And we know that doesn't go well. And by it doesn't go well, I mean it doesn't feel good. Because obviously that's what we're trying to get to all the time, is a place of feeling good. And is that possible to be in a place of feeling good, even in a difficult situation, even in a situation with people that we know in the past we found to be difficult, we find them difficult? It's not everybody that finds that person difficult, of course. It's often, it might be a few people find it, it won't be everybody finds that person difficult. So it's how we're reacting in that moment to what that person's saying, possibly because we're reacting from that historical place, because we have a picture of them, of who they are, what they're like, and then we react to them from that place, from that history. So part of the trick of being somebody, the next time you're in the company of somebody that you found to be difficult, part of the trick is to not bring the baggage of how things have been in the past, so that you can just be in your here and now, because that really is the answer to how do we navigate through a difficult situation, whether it's people or it's a situation, is that we just come into the here and now with them, or with the situation. Even if it's a situation that we want to change, or we want to even escape from, if it's really difficult. How do we begin to navigate through that? We come into the being of it, how it is right now, and we allow it to be as it is right now, so that we don't pick a fight with it, we don't turn it into a problem. Even I know that you might think, well, it is a problem. If we just put that to one side for a moment, and we just mindfully show up, and just meet it as it is, without adding our layers of opinions about it and comments about it. Yep, okay, it might be difficult. If we leave it like that, it's just difficult. Difficult is okay. You know, we've all managed to do things which are difficult. So difficult is okay. If it's something which we're trying to change, then obviously if we can change something about it now, then we can do it now. If we can't do something about it now, what are we going to do then? Are we going to make that into a problem and then experience, I've got a problem, and what that does to how we feel? Or are we going just to allow that as well? That we're just going to allow ourselves to be in this place where I want to do something about this, but I can't do anything about it now. I can make a plan to do something about it at some point in the future. So we have a plan which we formulate now, and which we can put into action when the time comes. And if we do that, then we can manage just to stay in the widescreen way of seeing how things are, which means that we don't create misery for ourselves, we don't create anxiety for ourselves, we don't make ourselves feel worse than we have been feeling, that we don't drain ourselves of energy because we keep banging our head against the idea that I can't change this, I can't change this, I haven't got the energy to change this, whatever it is. If instead we just stay in this place of, this is how things are right now, this is how this person is right now, even though I'm in the relaxed place, even though I've managed to change how my reactive patterns of behaving have been, and I'm just showing up in the here and now with this person, but this person's behaving like their view of how I have been up until now. Can we even allow that? Can we be big enough so that we see all around that person? So probably enough for today. I hope that's made some sense to you. I hope that you can see how that could be useful. I hope you can see how you can practice that by just coming into your here and now and just experiencing, just allowing whatever is in the here and now just to be, and for you just to be the knowing of it, the seeing of it, the hearing of it, the touching of it, and not get lost in the experience, not get lost in some comment about it. Well, as always, if you have any comments about any of that, I'd love to read them, and I wish you all the best for the week to come, and I hope you can join me next week for one more broadcast before Christmas. Thank you. Bye bye.